Chaos Linked Book 1 Deep Breaths Chapter 13 Shadow. Inside the pod, everything is still and quiet. Shadow floats effortlessly in the pale blue suspension fluid, his body weightless and his mind unraveling into a deep rest. The hum of machinery is distant, muffled like a lullaby underwater. He should feel confined, numb, wary of the silence like before, but he doesn't. Not anymore. Because even here, in this quiet stasis, he isn't alone. The thread of their link pulses faintly in his chest, a steady rhythm that grounds him. It doesn't intrude, simply exists, warm and quiet and real, like soft morning sunlight slipping through a crack in the dark. He feels Sonic's energy even while asleep, just like Sonic promised he would. Then, a tremor, a sharp flicker of hesitation, a sudden quiet ache. Not his, Sonic's. Shadow can't hear his words or read his mind. He doesn't know what's happening outside the pod, but he feels it deeply. A ripple through the link, like a heartbeat skipping. The steady pulse that had soothed him moments ago now falters, tugged by uncertainty. The warmth of the connection shivers at the edges, disturbed, unsettled, as though Sonic's doubt has shaken the foundation between them. There's a question hanging in the air. A question laced with uncertainty. Something about their link. Something about letting go. A whisper of what if. What if they separate? That's the right thing to do, isn't it? That would be the safest thing to do. Even in the pod, even surrounded by silence, Shadow feels Sonic's heartbeat brushing against his own like waves against a shore. In that moment he knows. They don't need to speak. He knows Sonic still wants this. Even when it hurts. Even when it's hard. Shadow falls into a deeper sleep, finding himself standing alone in stillness, surrounded by stars, thousands of them, drifting slowly through a sky with no floor, no ceiling, just weightless space. There's no pod, no pain, no pressure, only silence. Then behind him a voice.
Shadow.
He turns. Maria appears a few steps away, hands clasped in front of her. She's bathed in gentle starlight. Her smile is warm, knowing. The kind of smile he hasn't seen in 50 years, but somehow it's like she never left.
I didn't know if you'd come again.
Shadow murmurs, unsure that she's really there. Before, only endless nightmares had plagued him. But now it's only a dream.
I'm always here when you call for me,
she says, her eyes shining as bright as the stars around them.
I don't know what to do.
Maria takes his hands in hers. It's hard to believe that she's nothing more than a part of this dream.
You spent your whole life letting other people choose for you.
Shadow says nothing because it's true, isn't it? And now he doesn't know how to choose something for himself.
No one has ever asked what you want, have they? Not the scientists, not done, not even me.
She says, the ethereal glow around her pulsing in time with her words. His fingers twitch in her grasp.
I watched them take your choices away. I watched them silence you, use you, run those awful experiments on you.
Shadow's voice is barely audible, and set in stone like he's not allowed to believe anything else.
I was always a weapon.
No, you were always a person.
Maria says firmly, like she already made up her mind a long time ago. She looks up at him, really looks like she's staring deep into his tortured soul.
And you deserve the right to want something. It's only human.
Shadow can't tear his eyes away from her.
If you choose to keep the lead, it won't make you both weak. It won't make you dangerous.
Maria's expression softens, but her eyes hold steady with something deeper. Understanding, compassion, certainty.
You've lived with silence for so long that you learned to call it peace. This link is about being known, about having someone who doesn't need words to see the truth in you, even when you don't know how to say it.
She reaches up and gently touches his face, brushing away a tear he didn't realize had fallen. Her touch is featherlight, grounding, present.
This thread between you and Sonic, it's not a cage, it's a bridge. You're not being held captive by connection. You're being offered closeness, trust, and the one thing you've always been denied, choice.
She leans in just enough for him to feel the weight of her words settle deep in his chest.
And you're allowed to want that. You're allowed to want him. Not because he fixes you or saves you, but because he sees you and you see him. It'll just mean you chose something for yourself for once.
I don't know how to choose.
Shadow admits shakily. He's never had the chance to choose something for himself. He's never been given any options. His gaze drifts downward to his own hands. Hands made for destruction. Hands that have followed orders, clenched in rage and trembled with grief. What would it even mean to choose something now? To want something just because he wants it, not because he serves a mission to someone else's plan?
It's all so strong. This link, these feelings, how do I know any of it is real? What if it's not us? What if it's the chaos emeralds twisting everything, making us feel things we wouldn't feel otherwise?
All of this has to be too good to be true. Maria tilts her head curiously.
What do you feel?
His hands tremble again, but he doesn't pull them from hers.
I feel warmth. Peace when he's close. Pain when he's far. I feel understood and afraid. So afraid to lose him it aches. But I don't know if these feelings are mine or something the emeralds planted in me.
Maria squeezes his hands gently.
Shadow, the Chaos Emeralds may have connected your souls, but they don't create love. They don't invent trust or fear, or the ache in your chest when you think about losing him.
She lifts one hand and presses it lightly over his heart.
They respond to what's already there. They respond to what's real. You brought each other back to life, and you both mended the stasis pod. Every time your heart breaks at the thought of him in pain, every time you feel calmer just knowing he's nearby, that's not the emeralds whispering in your ear. That's you.
Her eyes shine with conviction.
The emeralds can reflect your emotions, but they can't fake them. They don't force you to care or feel love.
Almost subconsciously, his fingers curl tightly around hers.
You feel this connection so deeply not because the emeralds told you to, but because you let yourself feel something again. And all that is yours to feel, Shadow, not the emeralds. This,
she says with such grace it makes his heart leap so strongly that Sonic must feel it too.
This is you. You were feeling all of it, because you lived it, because you chose to open yourself to someone for the first time in a long time. That doesn't come from an emerald. That comes from you.
She says again so firmly that Shadow almost believes her. Her expression is calm, but her eyes search him with love and patience.
Are you afraid of hurting him?
Yes. When I was trapped in the cave, he nearly died. His body was shutting down because I couldn't reach him. And when he was shot, I felt all of it. If we stay linked, we'd feel everything. We'd carry each other's pain. We always need to be near each other. Always.
Shadow can feel her uncertainty towards him, or maybe he's feeling his own.
And is that something you don't want?
He tries to picture it, what it would really mean. Always having to be near him. Sonic, the hedgehog who never stops talking, who moves faster than thought, who fills the quiet with noise and energy and relentless optimism. It should overwhelm him. It used to. And yet, somehow he still wants that after spending so long in isolation and anger. That chaos, that closeness, that connection, because the noise means Sonic is alive, that he's near, that Shadow isn't alone. He looks past her into the endless stars, tiredness seeping in.
I don't want to hurt him,
he says instead, avoiding her question deliberately. Maria's gaze doesn't waver. She grips him harder, her voice still gentle but filled with quiet strength.
What you and Sonic have now, it wasn't a mistake. That the emeralds brought you together. It's not weakness, it's two hearts that found each other in all the silence. It might not be easy, but it's real.
The silence that follows doesn't feel like fear. Feels like longing. For half a century, all he'd ever known was cold. A pod with no warmth. Faces behind glass with no kindness. Scientists who only ever saw a creature to control, never a person to understand. The only tenderness he'd ever known came from Maria. After she was gone, there was only silence. Silence so long and so deep that it felt like it had eaten him whole. Until Sonic. Sonic had stayed with him even before the connection came to be. Through rage, through mistakes, through grief. Now the thread between them hums with something steady and real. Something that stirs an ache so deep in his chest it makes his breath catch. Feels like an answer to everything he lost. A quiet, persistent offering. Closeness in place of loneliness. Friendship in place of silence. A chance to feel known again. Not through words but through the thread that binds them. But does he really deserve it? Her voice softens to a whisper so soft that he almost has to strain to hear her.
Love isn't perfect, Shadow. It's messy, it's vulnerable, and sometimes it hurts. But that doesn't make it wrong. That doesn't mean you shouldn't reach for it.
He lowers his head, his jaw tightening not in resistance, but in the effort of holding himself together. A sharp exhale escapes him, and for a moment, his entire posture slumps like the weight of wanting, of hope, of fear is finally pressing down all at once. His voice is quiet, almost broken.
But what if I don't know how to get it back?
She gives him a small smile.
You already have, Shadow. You loved me. Not because someone told you to, not because of a mission, but because you chose to. You knew how then. You still do now.
He wants to believe her. He wants to believe he can.
You're afraid because he matters to you, and that fear, it only proves that your heart is still learning how to hope, how to choose. You don't have to keep this connection if that's what you really want, if you think it's best for the both of you. But is that what you really want?
Her words hit like a strike to his core. He breathes barely audible, whisking away into the stars around them. His hands start to shake. His knees buckle. He falls to them with a sound that splits through the quiet. A choked sob, raw and helpless. Tears slip down his cheeks, silent at first, then in waves. He presses a trembling hand to his mouth like it might contain the grief, the fear, and all his doubt crashing through him. Maria kneels beside him, silent.
I don't know.
Shadow gasps, his shoulders shaking.
When he was shot, I couldn't feel him. It was like someone tore the universe in half. Like a part of me just vanished. And I didn't know if I'd ever get it back. I can't go back to that emptiness, that silence, that cold. He's the only one who's ever stayed.
Maria lifts a hand, brushing his shoulder to help ground him.
Then don't choose out of fear.
She whispers, leaning her forehead against his.
You've done that for far too long. Let yourself choose out of love.
She places a hand over his chest.
Maybe the real answer isn't about whether or not you could hurt him. Maybe it's about what you'd lose if you let fear choose for you.
Maria's fingers curl slightly against his chest, like she's trying to anchor him, trying to steady the storm inside him with the quiet strength of her presence. Her other hand rises to cradle the side of his face, and he dips his head to the side into her touch, closing his eyes.
If just the thought of losing this connection with him hurts you this much, then you already have your answer.
She traces a hand along his arm, managing to calm him slightly with her touch alone.
You're not trapped, Shadow. This link, it's not forever, unless you want it to be. But both of you have the power to let go, if that's the choice to make.
Shadow looks up at her, his vision blurred by tears. His chest rises and falls in an uneven rhythm, the ache still raw inside him.
I don't deserve this. I don't deserve him. I tried to destroy everything. Everyone, including him and his family.
Shadow swallows against the weight in his chest, the memories clawing their way back like ghosts.
I almost destroyed the world. I followed the professor. I powered the eclipse cannon. I thought vengeance was the only thing I had left.
He trembles, the weight of it sinking deeper.
I nearly ended everything and everyone in your name. Tom, Sonic's father, he was disguised as Walter's, I thought. I didn't start to think. I just saw him and I struck.
His breath stutters and the pain flashes sharp in his throat. He's made so many mistakes that he can never take back.
And yet, it was Tom who carried you out of that cave. He could have walked away. He could have left you there. But he didn't. He carried you back because he already forgave you, even before you asked for it.
Shadow's eyes widened, stunned by the truth of her words echoing through his chest. She's right. Tom could have walked away, but instead, Sonic's father had saved him even after what he'd done.
That's what love does, Shadow. It gives second chances. It sees pain and offers healing. Tom saw you. Not the weapon, not the mistake. Just you.
Shadow grits his teeth. Hurting Tom and almost destroying the world aren't the only terrible things he's done.
On the moon, I begged for Sonic to finish me. I wanted it to end. And even after what I did to Tom, he still gave me a chance.
His words almost fall into silence, but he forces himself to continue.
If I stay connected to him, I'd be a part of his family now. I'd be one of them. How can I deserve that after everything I've done?
And then Maria moves. She steps back slightly and lifts one hand toward the starlit sky. A shimmer passes through the stars above them like the surface of water rippling under moonlight. The stars shift.
Let me show you,
she says, reminding him of what he had said to Sonic when he'd shown him his past. Sonic had every reason to run, to leave him behind, to see him as a threat. But he didn't. Even when Shadow begged him to end it, Sonic had reached for him, had pulled him back from the edge. Not out of pity, not out of duty, but because he cared. And Shadow had shown him everything. The memory of being put under. The water filling the pod. The betrayal. The silence. The faces that looked down on him with indifference. The crushing weight of being forgotten. Sonic had seen all of it, and he cried for him when he still hadn't been able to release his own tears yet. Now Maria is doing the same. Only instead of the past, she's showing him a future. A balance. A mirror. A choice. The stars bend, parting to reveal something new. A vision vivid and bright, suspended in the dark. Shadow watches as if peering through a window. He sees a quiet morning in Green Hills. The living room of the Wachowski home glows golden with sunlight filtering through the windows. Tails is working on something at the kitchen table, humming softly. Knuckles is trying to follow along but clearly doesn't understand. Tom and Maddie laugh from the hallway. And there on the couch, Sonic and Shadow sit together. Shadow doesn't look like a weapon. He looks at ease. His shoulders are relaxed. There's a blanket draped over both of them, and a cup of something warm in his hands. Sonic is saying something animatedly, hands flying, and Shadow listens. Really listens. A faint smile pulls at the edge of his mouth. The vision shifts again. They're outside now. Tails is flying circles above. Knuckles is training nearby, focused and calm. Shadow stands with Sonic under the open sky. The grass shifting in the wind. They don't speak, but they don't need to. The link between them thrums like a silent, shared language. Shadow watches his own image tilt his head slightly and Sonic gently nudges his shoulder, grinning. And this version of him, this version Shadow barely recognizes, laughs. Honest, unguarded, surprised by his own happiness. It hurts. It hurts to see because it feels so far away. But it also awakens something deep inside. A hunger he's never dared name. A longing he thought was too dangerous to feel.
This is a future you could choose. Not without challenges, not without pain, but full of life, full of connection, literal or otherwise.
She lifts his chin so she can meet his eyes, shining with tears. Not with force, with care.
Shadow, your past doesn't define you.
He starts to speak, but she stops him with a gentle shake of her head.
You carry it, yes, but that guilt in your chest, it means you're still trying, that you care, that you've changed.
His shoulders draw in as if trying to fold into himself. The weight of her words settles over him like something fragile and terrifying all at once. He bows his head, one hand coming up to clutch her hand over his chest, as if trying to hold the truth in place, as if afraid it might slip away.
I can't do this, Maria. What if being connected to me is what breaks him?
What if being connected to him breaks you?
Shadow lifts his head slowly, his eyes widening in surprise.
You're not the only one carrying that fear. Sonic is just as powerful, just as impulsive, just as capable of hurting someone without meaning to, especially you. But he's choosing this, Shadow, not because he's reckless, and not because the Chaos Emeralds are making him, but because he wants you. Because, even if there's risk, you're worth it to him.
Shadow's voice is small. He has to voice his biggest fear again.
But what if we hurt each other?
Then you'll learn. You heal, together. You don't carry it all alone anymore. That's what this link is about. Not control, not danger, but trust. You deserve peace and happiness, Shadow. You've finally found it. I'm so happy and proud of you.
More tears fall. He doesn't try to hide them anymore. How could he have ever thought that destroying the world would have been what she wanted?
I don't want to be alone again. I'm so tired. I didn't want to wake up after the eclipse cannon. I thought, when it exploded, maybe it would take me with it to see you. And I wanted that. I wanted to go with it. I didn't care anymore. There was nothing left to fight for.
His eyes widen in sudden horror, as though the realization has only just bloomed inside him.
Now? What if the explosion had killed me? And I killed him too? Because of the link?
The thought lands like ice in his gut.
I was ready to die, but I didn't think. I didn't know. What if I had taken him with me?
But you didn't. You're both still here.
He's not sure if he believes her. Even if he hadn't died from the explosion, even though he's here in a lot of ways, it still feels like he isn't here at all. He stares down at the starlit space beneath them.
I thought it would be better that way. Easier. I didn't think I deserved anything more. No life. Not forgiveness. Not a future.
The stars swell with light around them, and for the first time in a long time, Shadow feels alive. His soul, once fractured and buried beneath 50 years of silence, begins to glow with something stronger than chaos. Hope. The warmth in his chest expands, a quiet wave of something too big to name. It isn't just about wanting Sonic. It isn't even about the link. It's about being allowed to want it all. He had spent 50 years waiting, trapped in a pod, suspended in silence, preserved like a relic no one wanted to remember. Time didn't pass the way it should have. It dragged, folded, and collapsed in on itself until he forgot what it meant to live, to hope, to reach. And now, because of Sonic, he's being given another chance. Shadow lifts his eyes. The dreamscape begins to shift again, and Maria disappears. The stars blur and ripple, then sharpen into something new. The view from a mountaintop. The sky spreads wide and infinite, streaked with soft clouds. Shadow stands on the edge, the wind tugging gently at his fur, the night air crisp. Behind him, a soft breeze stirs, different from the chilly wind brushing against his fur. Carries a presence. A pulse of blue. He turns. Sonic is here. Not just a vision. Not just a memory. His expression is gentle, unsure, but open. Shadow feels their connection flare softly with recognition and warmth. Sonic takes a hesitant step closer. And suddenly, Shadow's throat closes up. He wants to speak, to tell him everything. But the moment is too raw, too exposed. The words are right there on the tip of his tongue. If Sonic can feel his doubt, he doesn't say anything. Yet, he wants to tell him his answer so badly. He wants to reach out and close the distance between them. Every part of him aches to bridge the silence with that truth. But the moment feels too fragile, too precious. One wrong word might shatter it. What if he isn't enough? What if he's still too broken to hold on to this hope? Because now that Sonic is here, real and close, what if he's too much? What if he's wrong to hope? Shadow tries to speak again, but the moment is too raw, too exposed. Can't be that easy. He stays silent. In the silence between them, everything hangs suspended. Choice, fear, hope. And the thread that still connects them both. Shadow thought he'd made his choice, But his doubt comes rushing back.